So I got back in at 1 o'clock this morning from Los Angeles, having played God of War Ascension. I do have something of a cold, and the long travel day didn't do me any favors, so if you hear my voice is husky, maybe Tom Waitsy-ish, please forgive me. It doesn't change the fact that I got to play the game, and it's quite impressive. I've always liked the God of War series. I think one of the things I've appreciated about each of the games, at least the ones on the PS2 and the PS3, is that real sense of improvement and change and taking kind of the core combat fundamentals and really kind of building upon that from version to version to version. I was skeptical about Ascension coming in. The large amount of focus being placed on the multiplayer made it seem that maybe it was something of a lesser game, and the single player that's always been the hallmark, really, all that's available for the franchise was somehow going to suffer. I no longer have those feelings after playing God of War Ascension. The beginning of the game, which is what we played, I would say maybe about the first 25 minutes, is consistent and really is the best I've seen of those massive, big, surprising, just kind of operatic openings that the game offers up. It is a prequel. You play Kratos, you've been imprisoned by the Furies, because you're a bad, bad man. And this prison, I'm blanking on the Greek creature's name, but it's pretty much a 100-armed beast that fought with the Titans. And so you're on, once again, but probably the most effective I've ever seen, a moving, living level. And the way that the game plays with it is so much fun. There's camera moves that, from a technical perspective, really, I don't know how they pulled it off, but the dramatic effect that it really gives, the moments when the camera's pulling back or the camera's pulling down, it helps draw your eye to the absolutely wondrous animations of both the Fury and the creature that you're fighting against throughout the level. And it's just, it really kind of says, hey, we're here now. And the best part is, it feels distinct from the other three God of War games. The lighting, the textures, and the color palette are very, very different. There is a lot of a rust color, but that's not what I think is strange, because there's a sense of a lot of color, but there's a lot of nuance within the variation within just one type of color. And it really caught my eye, and I felt myself drawn to it a lot more than I would even say God of War 3, with all of its eye-popping, crazy, we don't look like Gears of War color palette. But, the game is combat, and the combat does feel different. It is much, much faster, and I think what kind of assists is now you can use the R1 button to kind of pull yourself towards other enemies. It is a nice kind of tethering move that comes with the game. In addition to, on the circle button, you can have a physical attack where you're just punching the enemies, and that mixed with the sound editing really, I don't know, it gave it a far more visceral feeling. It's something I didn't realize was lacking as it was in the previous God of War games. In addition, you can pick up weapons dropped by other enemies, and it gives a nice variance to what's happening in the game, because what I really do like that's happening in God of War is that you're going to stay with the blades. You can pick up these random weapons throughout, but the blades, it sounds like that they're going to have fire, they're going to have ice, but that moveset, those weapons that you tend to spend hours with in the other God of War games, are all you're going to have. I never understood the addition of new weapons after you've gotten the muscle memory and the style and how you like to play with the blades, why you would try to switch over to something else. It really seems that logic's finally descended upon the franchise. At the end of the day, it is God of War. It probably will not be the most groundbreaking game we're going to have this year, but it's always been a fun game to me and one I've always gotten myself into, but I wouldn't want to have to do the same thing from iteration to iteration to iteration, and it seems like they've changed things up, at least in the beginning, to keep me very interested. All right, so if you enjoyed this God of War hands-on impression, look, these are my hands, they're so impressed. You should also check out the interview I had with the game director, Todd Pappy, of the Santa Monica studios for Sony. That's right up here on our YouTube page, and go ahead and subscribe. Remember, youtube.com/Ret3Games. You'll feel stronger, like Kratos. Grr.